Okay, I have 10 o'clock. I will call the Harrison County Commission meeting for Wednesday, September 25th, 2024 to order. If you will rise and join us in invocation, please.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you and ask you for peace and kindness in our lives. Let us open up our hearts, Lord. If today for 1 minute, we as individuals, your children, adopted children, could be imitators of you and reflect to each other the love that you reflected to us when you gave us your only begotten Son. We pray all these things in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We have one signed up to speak, Mr. Goff.
My name is Wallace Goff. I represent Trinity Experiences. We're trying to create a campground out off the West Fork River. We're still having trouble with the trail. Uncontrollable traffic, stuff like that. Actually, somebody parked on the trail a week and a half ago and broke into our pole barn and pretty much stole every tool I owned. I understand that there's an issue with access for maintenance with putting barricades up. I spoke to the partners the other night and we came up, we'd like to offer you a solution, and that is permanent access through our property. That would allow you to put permanent barricades at Penny Lane and Spelter Bridge. And we would sign whatever needed to be signed, and you could come right up across our property. We have access right up the driveway, right down the property, right into the trail. That would just require the barricades on each end and a gate wherever the access is that we would be required to have a key to. So I don't know if that helps, but it's just an offer. We really need to do something about this trail. And y'all are maintaining a trail that's wider than most of the roads to get to it. So, I mean, if you would cut that down, that would eliminate the vehicle traffic, the width of it. You really only need 6 feet for bikes to pass, but you still need the barricades. And I understand you need access to the trail for maintenance, but something's got to be done. Between the trespassers, they're cutting cables to come onto the property to ride their four-wheelers. Well, I was informed to put cameras out. I've done that. I've made phone calls. I've yet to see law enforcement other than for the break-in. And I know everybody's busy, but it's frustrating that we can't continue with what we have planned until that's under control. Because I can't have people invite people to come stay and have that and advertise the trail as an asset and the river as an asset, and people can't be safe walking on it because they might get run over. So that's all I have. Sorry.
Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry one bit, because I don't understand the barricade either. I don't understand why I'm being told that they are on the trail, the law enforcement. So. Okay. They're not there all the time. Okay. Anyone on Zoom wish to speak publicly? Anyone on Zoom wish to speak publicly? Okay, hearing none, we'll go to number 2, consent agenda. What's the pleasure?
motion approved, please.
Motion to approve consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 3, payroll change notices. We have one.
Motion approved. A,
Motion to approve 3A.
please.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. It is 10:05 and we have a special funding request from the Harrison County Board of Education requesting $30,000 for Harrison County School Game Changer Drug Prevention Program.
I thought Miss Doris Butler was gonna be here too.
I think Ms. Davison is here.
I'm sorry. Please.
Just identify yourself, Kelly.
Hello, I'm Kelly Davison. I'm the mental health coordinator for Harrison County Schools. So I was asked to come to the meeting, answer any questions that are made.
So Harrison County Schools is asking for $30,000 for their Game Changers program for actual Harrison County School.
I thought we already did something to this effect, but I guess it wasn't for the county. Am I correct?
I think Game Changers and the county work together. One part comes from Game Changers and one part comes from the school board, if I'm correct.
I don't get access to the financial day-to-day. I'm more of the liaison for the game
And you
changer
just got
coaches.
stuck being here today.
Wouldn't say stuck. I have the pleasure
Oh, there you are.
to
Sorry.
be here today. So I'm like more the liaison for the game changers coaches in each of the schools.
And,
Currently have 12.
and how's that working for the school system?
So this is our third year. The first year we just had 3 as an inaugural. That was Lincoln High School, Lincoln Middle, and Big Elm. The second year, which was last year, we extended it to Lumberport Elementary to kind of fill that feeder area. And then we also went with Northview Elementary, Netterford Primary, Netterford Intermediate, Mountaineer Middle, WI Middle, Liberty High School, and RCB High School. So that kind of takes care of all 3 those feeder areas. So I guess the funding of this would approach the areas of our last 2, which is the South Harrison and Bridgeport areas.
So what does the $30,000 we voted on before do?
So the 30,000 that we voted on before goes to the state game.
What do they do with that? Does it trickle down to us? Does anybody know? Because I think I didn't, I thought the county was gonna get some of that money. I
I can't answer that, Susan. That would be something that, Dora, I mean, she's their rep for this area, but
mean, I would rather the monies go locally, to be honest with you. I think that's who we represent.
I think if I understand it, it's a joint venture between the schools and the state.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they use, so it's in partnership. Game Changers is essentially like a peer leadership substance misuse prevention model. And they partner with the Hazelton Betty Ford Foundation. And so, again, I'm not privy to the financial aspects of it, but on the day-to-day operation pieces, we do have game changer coaches in each of those schools because it's a peer mentoring type system. So, you know, they do a lot of community activities, parades, things like that. They go along with the first aspect of it for the middle school and high schools, or, you know, they do some data analysis and they hone in on like what the misconception is of the students and then kind of make that public in the community as well. And they get that community behind it. And because it may say like, you know, those students believe that just throwing out a random number, that 80% of the kids vape on a bus, you know, well, that's a misconception. So they kind of hone in on that and they try to change that way of thinking to do more of the misuse prevention type stuff. And in the elementary schools, it's more like classroom lessons about substance abuse and how they can, you know, be healthy and have healthy habits and prevent that misuse and break that cycle if they have that in their homes.
Oh, I think it's a good program.
Yeah.
I just.
Yeah.
I
a little
think,
So
confused.
you
I'm
have-
a little confused.
they have a
that-
I know Marion County's done it. Marshall County's done it. I think there's a lot of counties and cities that have funded it.
Yes,
But-
sir. We were one of the pilot programs, like I said.
Yeah, you guys, Harrison County was one of the first counties through the school board itself. As I understand it, you all self-funded the original ones when you first started the program here.
You could be accurate. on
I
that, sir.
think that's what it is. And so I think, Susan, it's just, we want to discuss it again next week. I'm fine with that. So too, we can get more information.
Well, I want to support the local one. That's my.
Yeah,
point.
well, I think this
I'm not
goes
sure about
straight
the
to
other.
I think it's a combination. From where I understand it.
I mean, I don't know what to do with the one that we approved before. That's my concern.
Sure, I understand your concern.
But I want
And I,
you
no,
all,
and
I want these schools to have,
absolutely,
share.
and that's as the liaison. for the
right? And if the
coaches
money
and the schools,
trickles
that's-
down from the
that would
state
be
to
what I
Harrison
would
County,
want
that's
as well.
great. But I just like to have some more.
Madam President, when we discussed funding $30,000 from Game Changers for the opioid funds, I believe that even Commissioner Hinkle said that he wants to see it in 2 of the schools, and we were talking about giving it to Game Changers, and I'll be honest, at that point in time, I did think it went to local Harrison County Game Changers. It wasn't until this request that came in that we went back and watched the meeting that, so that money goes to the state. That $30,000 out of opioids that we have already approved.
I think it comes back.
That's what I'd like to know.
Yeah,
Where's that money go?
I think it
And that's
comes
great
back to help fund. Cause it's 30,000 roughly a school, as I understand it.
And that pretty much is, get them up and running and have the coaches and, have some things for the peer led, mentoring programs to work. And that's how it works in the
No,
middle schools and.
is this like DARE?
No, it's a little different because they do use, they partner with the Hazelton, Betty Ford Foundation. So there's a curriculum and it is, K through 12. So you're hitting every aspect of the school system.
So it's,
But what you do is you kind of, so the game changer coaches get, like for the middle school and high school, they identify what a good leadership group would be of peers. And then it's student led in that aspect about some of the misconceptions and the persona out there of opioid use in our system, in our schools, and kind of hone in on that and give them healthy habits and things like that so that they can, deteriorate from going that route.
Well, it sounds similar to theirs, but.
Yeah.
okay.
But it's not in every school either.
No, it is not. No, it is not.
And-
So this is like them listening to their peers in that middle
Right,
school. high
they're not
school age.
listening to a police officer. they're
Yeah,
listening
and
to
they're
peers.
educated and they go,
That's the
the
difference right
peers go
there.
through training, the mentor leadership groups, they go through training. Again, with partnership with,
And how many schools do we have?
right now we have 12, sir.
12?
Mhm. And I
And
think you're looking maybe to expand to the South Harrison and Bridgeport areas. Because we do not have that there yet.
nothing down at South Harrison at all.
No, sir, not right now.
Okay. I would say table it till we can get somebody here next week. Would be my,
I apologize. I just am not.
No,
privy to
that's
that
okay.
No, that's fine.
Financial aspect of it. I could tell you what it is and what
well,
we
that,
do.
that I think helped us understand some things.
Well, I'm
so.
still confused on my question. I mean, I understand the program and I understand what you
Sure.
do, but I don't know what we did before. That's what I want to know, where that money's going.
I can reach out to the state Game Changers program and see exactly how that money will benefit Harrison County Schools.
Yeah, and see it in black and white if possible.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you for your time this
You
morning.
got it. Okay, you making a motion to table, or we just want to put it on next week's agenda?
Motion to put it on next week's agenda.
We necessarily need a motion to do that. Okay.
We'll take care of that.
Okay. Okay, number 4, minutes and or amended minutes of previous meetings. We have A through C. What's the pleasure?
Motion to approve A through C.
Motion to approve 4A through C, correct? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None motion carried. Number 5, requisitions, purchase orders, invoices. That brings up a point. What do we do with the requisition for changers that's on there now?
Motion to hold it until next week so we can further discuss and decide which direction we want to send this money to the state or the Harrison County Board of Education
Okay,
to pull that.
so motion to,
Approve A and pull the $30,000 from B, please.
okay. Motion to approve A and B, but pull the $30,000 for the game changers. Is there any discussion?
Mhm.
Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 6, exonerations, corrective tickets, joint property applications, A and B, exonerations and corrective tickets. What's the pleasure?
Motion to approve A and B, please.
Motion to approve 6A and B. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. We have nothing under 7, is that correct?
That is correct, Madam President.
Number 8, review, discuss, consider purchasing or selling county property for barn complex and or county asset liquidation. Potential executive session pursuant to West Virginia Code 69A4B9 to consider matters involving or affecting the purchase, sale, or lease of property, advanced construction planning, the investment of public funds, or other matters involving commercial competition which if made public might adversely affect the financial or other interest of the state or any political subdivision. Do we have anything?
We do, Madam President. There's a few items that we need to talk about purchasing or selling county property. I would request that we go into executive session to discuss those matters.
Motion to go into executive session.
Motion to go into executive session. Is there any discussion?
For the reasons stated on the agenda.
Yes.
For the reasons stated on the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried.
President, I'd like to authorize the county administrator to allow the 2 pieces of property that were bid on in the auction last week to expire, and then work with the development authority to auction and get a realtor to sell all county owned property on 279 as a whole.
I'm not gonna try to repeat that unless I need to. I think we all know what he's trying to say.
Mhm.
You got it, John? Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried.
I have a second motion, Madam President.
Okay,
My second motion is to go ahead and, on our, I call it PK property, but you call it what? Or our PK.
Now, we need to make a motion on
Hmm.
to negotiate or look into the other property on 19.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's a third motion, right? So my second motion is, then. I'm just turning off the play. Okay, then we'll go ahead and go with yours, the second one, then the second motion is to give the county administrator authority to go ahead and negotiate the property on Route 19. Known as the Ellis Drive-In. And the third, go ahead, we got to vote on that one.
okay. Motion to let Laura negotiate on property on Route 19 north.
Mm-hmm. North.
Any discussion? As well as known as the Ellis.
Mhm.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried.
And my third motion is to go ahead and allow the county administrator to make an offer to General Electric to buy the PK property for $500,000 and put a 6-month closing window on that for the county to further negotiate.
Okay. Motion to allow the county administrator to negotiate with the GE price of $500,000 for the PK property within 6 months, correct?
Please.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Okay. Is there anything else on 8? Hearing none, we will move to number 9. Review, discuss, consider updating smoking policy.
Madam Administrator, it's my desire to go ahead and make all county-owned property tobacco-free, please. And the recommendation and how to do so. Madam Administrator has spoken to the Health Department, and the Director has sent the letter on exactly what WVU Medicine has done at the hospital and made the necessary changes.
So commissioners, before you, there is 2 packs to this. One, a revised smoking policy, and the other, the last page in your packet would be the currently county smoking tobacco use policy. And one thing that is noted in the new smoking policy that is up for discussion, that also includes vapes.
And I'll amend my motion to include vapes.
So you made a motion.
To go tobacco-free on all county property.
Okay, the motion's been made to go tobacco-free on all county property. Any discussion? I'm just concerned about how you're going to police it. It's already, I thought it was 20 feet, but I guess it's 15 feet from an outside entrance. When I was coming up the steps this morning, I opened the door. On this side of the building, we've got I don't know what, I'm not gonna say it right, but here it goes, a butt dispenser on one end and one on the other. And they're about, at the most, 10 feet, no, 5 feet from the door. Why do we even need 2? We can't take care of it now. I don't know how you're gonna take care of policing it. They need to stay away from the door. I get it. I don't wanna walk into a building where they're smoking. I think you just,
How are we handling the smoking going out the back door now? They just go out into that gravel area that we own? Because we own a little piece of that gravel area.
For the most part,
and I see them, they're out in front of the building and they'll go over on the sidewalk over there. I mean, if they get far enough, I don't have a problem if they get far enough away, but how do you make sure? I mean, they're not doing it now.
but also this is affecting all round, like currently right
understand.
now. I understand that we have dispatchers who smoke, so they go out the back door and they go away from the back door.
And I know it's just a few employees, and believe me, I wish everybody would quit. I mean,
All this isn't about employees, this is about us healthy living, Madam President.
I understand, but I don't think we have a real issue with people that visit the building.
Trey, do we have to supply? I don't know, a place to smoke. If we're gonna not allow. We have to, because I mean, a lot of places have smoke areas that are on property. If we're gonna ban off property, are we going to get into any issues if they? I guess I could go out on the sidewalk here and do it. We can't control that.
I mean, they can go into public areas. In terms of designated smoking area, I think most businesses do that. Just as
Courtesy.
a courtesy control.
I mean, we have an old bus on the other side of the courthouse, that,
Yeah,
that
but
was supposed to be a designated area, then they closed that side door when security
when
came.
security came, because everybody was using that, you stood and waited for somebody to open that door, and I guess that's my concern even about the back door here, is it's not very secure. That we really don't know who comes and goes through those back doors.
They have to run their key, right?
Swiping.
Yeah, but you don't know who they bring in with them. I mean, it's just, pretty soon it gets to be just,
That has been brought up as a security concern.
To answer your question, I'm not aware of any state mandates. Just employer to offer all smoking shelter.
and tobacco products or anything, Patsy, that's made from tobacco or synthetic tobacco. I don't know how else to handle
And does it
vaping.
include snuff and?
It has to.
Yeah, he's got
Chewing
smokeless
Well, I
tobacco.
realize the secondhand smoke is a leading cause of heart and lung disease. You know, even though you're chewing or rubbing, you shouldn't be allowed to do it on county property.
And in county vehicles?
That's what's here.
In the policy, it says and in county vehicles, and it includes, you know, the tobacco. Whether it's smoking, whether it's rubbing snuff, whatnot, and also the vapes specifically. In there, because anything can be in the vapes. It doesn't have to necessarily mean tobacco in those vape products.
Any further discussion?
Uh, When you, and I guess my only other thing when we say Harrison County Commission grounds. Patsy, I guess my other question is that gonna include the parks,
Absolutely.
rail trail?
Absolutely. And you gotta remember, David, just like it's phone company, when I was a utility worker, some guys were gonna smoke in their truck if they wanted to smoke in their truck. I mean, supervisor can't follow them around everywhere. But sometimes you gotta go on the merit system that people respect, but that it's something, you know, they don't own it. See, if I want to smoke in my car, it's one thing. If I want to smoke in a company vehicle's another. I don't know. Don't believe me, there's always gonna be cheaters. We know that.
And Laura, what's the discipline?
It can be terminated.
It can be
No.
That's what it says.
in the
Yeah,
pol-
yeah, but at the same time, it's also a $10 fine. If we wanted to provide it.
What's in our policy book? That's what we have to,
It would be a verbal written warning and go up the ladder of those kind of reprimands first.
so that would be for employees,
A $10 fine for citizens.
for citizens, if we catch them smoking at the park or chewing or rubbing at the park. Is that what we're saying?
We could if we wanted to, but hey, you and I can't get it. Chevy Malibu off the rail trail right now, so. Well, we could find them, absolutely. But I think it does, I think the signage does deter people. I don't see as much of it at the hospital, but of course, when you open up your car, you're gonna see the cigarette butts. That's
Well,
what
there's
people
not
do.
many
Mhm.
people here that do it,
Just
and
smoke
employees.
in the car at the hospital. I guess my question is. Should we? And I'll leave this to Trey, should this be two separate policies? One for. County employees and then a separate one on how we expect the public to act on the rail trails and parks and. Wherever else we're at.
The parks already say smoke-free environment.
I don't see a reason for something
Okay,
policies.
I do have concerns about our employees that smoke, for example, at like 911. They can't leave usually for lunch and leave the grounds to go take a smoke break. I know this policy, one of the things in the research is like this, we modeled it some off the WVU campus. Um, They were able to get in their vehicles and leave. Some of our employees don't have that option.
Any further discussion?
Well, I understand what Laura's saying, I don't know, if we're gonna make an exception
How
or
can you do that?
we have a hard enough time keeping 911 employees. I'm gonna guess probably 10% of our employees, use smokeless tobacco or maybe even higher. Good. You can go ahead and call vote.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No. Okay. Number 10, review, discuss, consider GE option agreement.
We've already done that.
Nothing to do with this right now, at this point?
Trey would say no, since they made the motion to,
Sell to them for 500, give them 6 months to close. Invest more with authority to effectuate them.
Okay. So no action to be taken on 10.
No,
Okay. Number 11, review, discuss, consider letter of support for CityNet BEAD grant application.
Morning, Commissioners. How are you?
All right, how are you?
Great, thank you. Sorry I couldn't be with you in person this morning. I was on another agenda earlier this morning. I'll give a little brief history of CityNet. You guys are probably pretty familiar. We're in our corporate headquarters is in your backyard in Bridgeport. We're a West Virginia-based company. We have offices there in Bridgeport, Morgantown, Wheeling, and Charleston. I'm Melissa O'Brien. I'm an external affairs manager. They brought me aboard about a year ago. I'm a previous county commissioner, so they felt my experience would be a good local liaison to you as commissioners. So if you have any problems, I will be your contact. We currently serve about 1,700 residential customers in Harrison County and about 380 business customers in Harrison County. We have an RDOF block that's the northwest part of Lumberport, which will be built out probably in 2027. That will impact about 134 homes as well. So we have some existing network there in Harrison County, and we intend on expanding that, hopefully with the support of BEAD. BEAD is the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment money coming from the federal government. That's that $1.2 billion that the state has access to. All applications for this money must be sent to the state by October the 24th, and the state must provide the federal government with a plan in April that shows the federal government that all 114,000 unserved addresses across the state of West Virginia will be covered with that money. If they cannot do that, then they don't get any of the money. So it's all or nothing. So we are applying for the rest of Harrison County, which is probably unserved, about a little over 5,000 residents left in Harrison County that are considered unserved for the Office of Broadband's data in February of 2023. One of the score criteria for the BEAD application is a letter of local support from local government entities. So that's what I'm here for today. I'd sent a couple of drafts, but you're more than welcome to write your own if you decide to support our efforts to expand our network in Harrison County.
Make a motion on the floor to support letter of intent with CityNet. And before we do agree, which we are, we'd like you to send a copy of those to the county administrator, and then we can affixate the president's signature if need be.
Commissioner Tree-Cross, we have already received a few of the different sample letters. We have merged some of them, created our own, and it is ready for President Thomas's signature.
Do you agree with the changes you've made?
Yeah, they gave us letters that we could do.
Exceed signature.
Okay, the motion is to approve the letter of support for CityNet and affix the president's signature, correct? Okay,
Can I just add, it's the one that's presented in the agenda?
Thank you.
that is the letter that is included in the agenda. Is
Yes, ma'am.
there any
Thank you.
discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your support, Commissioners. We'll keep you abreast of how the application goes. Again, that's due, the federal government gets those in April, so hopefully mid-year next year, we'll know who wins the unserved addresses in Harrison County.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 12, review, discuss, consider FEMA project and steps to move forward.
Madam President, a while back, we had the FEMA declaration for the flooding that we had here in Harrison County during August of, I believe it was last year, if I remember correctly. Since then, Gina Jones, Director of Grants, Peggy Bailey, Director of Emergency Management, Chad Spiller with Thrasher have been working very hard with FEMA and trying to figure out, what the scope of how much damage was done, how much we can be awarded, so on and so forth. We are currently at the point where we've been given a total of money that we can be awarded. And what I believe FEMA is wanting us to do is to go ahead and go out, have Chad design the work for some of the slips that are there on the rail trail that had the flooding. So there'll be cost in that design, put it out to bid to get the cost back. And there's a chance FEMA could pay that, or they could not pay that. The reason that we bring it before you today is because there's going to be a large cost associated with the work that Chad is going to do to design to make sure that this work is done properly. Is it work that needs to be done on the rail trail? Yes, it will eventually need done. Could it be 5, 6 years from now? Yes. Could it be possible that, he does this work, we put it out to bid, and then FEMA's like, yes, we'll give you hazard mitigation money and we'll pay for all of it? That could be a possibility. But we're just not sure at this point, and since it is a large financial investment, that's why I would like to discuss it with commission in the meeting. And Mr. Biller is here to answer any questions that you might have.
And Administrator, but haven't they offered us a lump right now?
A lot, yes.
And what is that lump?
28,000? The lump sum.
I think it's 31. The FEMA representatives are on Zoom to answer any questions and to kind of clarify where we are. Jason Means is on there to speak, but I think it was like 33,000.
Chad, how much are we talking about?
My preliminary estimate for about 170,000.
Okay.
And Chad, do you know the number of how much they've offered us on a lump?
I believe it's right around 30,000. So,
How big of slips are these?
you have one that is a fence. The fence was put up because the trail is so close to the river.
Mm-hmm.
So when you had the flood, it washed the riverbank out. And so the fence is falling over. So FEMA, my solution to fixing that is to put gazing baskets in,
Right.
build up the side, put the fence on top. FEMA will not consider that because there were no gating and baskets there before.
Again.
So they're calling that a mitigation expense, not a repair.
So they prefer you to try to put dirt back.
Well, that's the thing, is they didn't even include that. They just said, just move the fence over and move the trail over.
That was my next question is, could you move, we have enough room to move the trail over to make it accessible without going through all that? Is there room?
You could probably move the fence over and get it closer to the trail.
And just move the trail over?
But again, the next event you have, it's gonna wash back.
Gonna wash back out.
Chad, could you please go to the podium? No one on Zoom, and I know the FEMA representatives are on Zoom, can hear the discussion that's being had.
Do we have any pictures of this areas?
Oh, yes.
I don't have them with us, but we do have pictures of the different slip areas.
So that, the fence area was the one area. The second area, there's railroad, rail line. And it's cut up into pieces. And the rail line stuck down in the ground, kind of like a pilings. And then behind that are boards. And when the water came, it washed the boards out. And my repair was to repair it with gabions, baskets, remove all that and repair it with gabions. And FEMA's repair was to basically come in and just replace the boards and leave the old rail line that's in the ground.
So the pilings are still there where they drove the track in?
Yes. So those are the two major differences in the costs that you see.
Hey Chad, I'm gonna make a motion to accept the $30,000 lump sum and move forward because we also have the chance of not getting anything. So.
There is definitely a chance. That's why I didn't want to move forward until
Right.
I had direction from you.
Madam President, I make a motion that we accept the $30,000 lump sum and roll.
Is that an option?
Yeah.
That is an option. There's also the option that Chad does the work and we get it all paid for. And maybe Jason Means you'd like to say something?
Yeah, a few points of clarity. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jason Means. I'm the State Public Assistance Officer here at West Virginia Emergency Management Division. We serve to work with our federal counterparts as the pass-through for these funds. So I wanted to hit a few points of clarity and then also provide any background information that you all might have to make your decision. Certainly, tapping out and taking what we'd call a lump sum is an option. For clarity on that, it is not 30,000, whatever FEMA obligates. There is a non-federal cost share, so it'd be 75% of that $30,000, and you would have to specifically point to something that is still an eligible expense so that you could get it paid for. You just can't say, I want it to have a pool party. For example, you could say, we want to purchase $30,000 worth of gravel for the county and pre-position it in a specific location to do road repair. We believe that would be an eligible expense, and you would get 75% of that $30,000 from the federal government. There is an option that you can request through the state for your projects through a non-federal cost share worksheet to pay for the balance of that. Typically for work that needs to be done, those go a little higher in consideration. So if you're working on your trail, putting it back the way that it needs to be up to codes and standards, I think that the state would consider paying the non-federal cost share as well. Sometimes on improved projects, the governor's contingency fund, which is what funds that, looks at that as a want versus a need. So the county may have to pay the non-federal cost share on that. However, to Chad's point, this is a very complex and convoluted program. We apologize for that, but we're not making it that way for the sake of doing so. There's thousands of pages of federal laws, policies, and rules that we must abide by. And one of the issues that we've had, and a good point of confusion that we see across multiple applicants in all of our disasters, is that FEMA will consider doing gabion baskets or whatever is up to codes and standards. But before we start that journey, we have to have an in-kind repair estimate. It's something that's never going to be put out to bid. It's something that's never going to be designed. Give me a hypothetical, an academic experiment. Tell me in detail, how much would it be to put dirt back on the bank? That's where FEMA basically came up with their own $30,000. Their engineers think that it would cost $30,000 to bring it up to codes or to put it back the way that it was. With that said, once they get that, that's just a financial starting point with this specific grant program. From there, you can say, okay, thank you. We appreciate your in-kind repair estimate. Now show us how you would like to put it back up to codes and standards. And if there's some code or standard that says there needs to be gabion baskets there or soil nails or another type of repair, if you can point to a code or standard that says this is the way that this gets repaired, FEMA would consider that expense. So I don't begrudge you all from being frustrated and want to tap out and take what you can. That's your prerogative. But if you want to stay with the program, FEMA will consider paying 75% of whatever the total final bill is. And then you could apply to the state to cover the non-federal cost share as well. Again, I ask folks to suspend their disbelief because this grant program works basically different than every other grant program out there. And the reason being is it's because it's one of the most highly and heavily abused grant programs. You don't have to effectively apply for it. If you're in an approved county during a federal disaster declaration, you're in the program, and there's no cap on the funding. It's whatever the final bill actually is, but it has to be reasonable and it has to be on par with all federal laws, policies, and rules that are in place. So if y'all have any questions, and I'm happy to answer. We also have several of our federal counterparts that are on the call here this morning as well. They're happy to take your questions too.
Chad, is this on county owned and not state owned rail trail? Well, I guess that's my first question.
I believe it is on rail trail that you lease from the state of West Virginia,
So
the Southern Rail Trail.
So it is part of the rail authority's property. Do they have any say in how this repair is done?
Depends on what type of agreements that you all have with them. It was my understanding that you all were, the county of was responsible for the repair work so that you would be the most eligible applicant. But if there's some sort of memorandum of agreement or something that you have between the county and the rail trail authority that says you have to do something a certain way, then the state and FEMA would abide by it.
The last time I read the agreement, I believe it says that you're responsible for all maintenance. And that's been a while since I've read it, but that's my recollection of it.
So it sounds like our options are to take the $31,000. Number two, hire you to tell us what it's gonna cost and possibly get the money back from FEMA. 75%.
It would be.
One or the other.
That's what I'm saying. If
Yeah.
you want, those are our options. That's what I'm asking. I wanna make sure I understand before I do anything.
Hire him to do the work.
Right.
Put everything together and actually go out to bid to see what the cost coming back would be. Is that correct, Jason?
Well, like I said, option one is to satisfy FEMA's RFI for information for an in-kind repair estimate. Again, we can go with what they have provided, but my suggestion would be for the engineer to come up with his own, because it's probably going to be a more realistic cost. That needs to be turned in by this Friday. From there, you would actually say, okay, that's my in-kind repair estimate. It may be up to $100,000. This is what I want to put out to bid. Here's the design, bringing it up to codes and standards. From there, that goes out to bid. Whatever the highest bid or whatever the lowest bid is that can perform the work, and as long as you've met your procurement requirements, that FEMA will consider that additional cost. But one step goes before the other. The first thing that we'll need is something as far as an in-kind repair estimate of how you would put it back. How would you throw dirt back on the bank? I know that it sounds nonsensical, but that's just the way that the laws are written for this specific grant program. Provide that, and then FEMA is going to be like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Tell me more. How would you build it back up to codes and standards? Okay, thank you for that. How would you build it back up to codes and standards and then add a little bit of mitigation as well? Would you like to do something else to ensure that this doesn't happen again? From that point, it can be further developed once it goes out to bid. Whoever your lowest bid is, then it could get versioned again. It can be $300,000. Again, this is something that it grows over time, but you have to go through the steps. The alternate, if you all are focusing on the $30,000, that's where you opt for something called an alternate project or an alternative procedures project. Basically, you tap out and you say, it's not so much, I want 30 grand. I'm going to spend $30,000 on gravel and put it at this location. And FEMA will be like, okay, we think that's an eligible expense under the program. You're allowed to do that. Here's 75% of that 30,000. So it kind of works like a tax form, depending on how you answer one question, takes you down a different path of logic. So if you all want to go, I should say, I hate to say the easy route, but just that route and then do your own repair and not rely on federal funding for it, that's on the county.
Dad, what do you think these steps will cost? Just to say, put the dirt back as it was? For you all to just come up with that?
I don't think that part would be that expensive to go out there and do that part. and- and come up and
The
say,
second part's really not just a matter of saying you're gonna drop baskets. The third part, if I understand what he's saying, is if we get through the first and the second, then we would go to, if they approve your second, then we'd go out for bid, and then you'd have to do actual design work to go out to bid.
Yeah.
And if you approve one, if number one, we don't like, and they don't like, number two is, let's say, using baskets and fixing it the right way, and FEMA approves that, then will FEMA go ahead and approve for then our engineers to finish the design, or do we have to have that all done in two?
Well, I'd also like to add the caveat that FEMA only approves things under very, very limited circumstances. The way that this program is supposed to work under laboratory-like conditions is you do you. Don't make a decision based on what FEMA will or won't provide. So FEMA does not provide approval, they just do eligibility determinations. If you do things in a certain way, then you can maximize the federal funding that's available for it. So again, this is like no other grant program that's out there. So my recommendation would be to take a stab and provide something to FEMA that would satisfy their request, which is an in-kind estimate. And the in-kind estimate can't be, it's $100,000 to throw dirt on the bank. It has to be more detailed than that. It's okay, equipment mobilization is going to be $50,000. Labor is going to be this much. This much gravel is going to be used to repair this thing in kind. That's how detailed the in-kind estimate is to bring that cost of the project up. Now, at that point, you could potentially have $100,000 estimate as opposed to a $30,000 estimate. At that point, you could still potentially do an improved project where you want to buy $75,000 worth of gravel and tap out at that time. Like I said, this is a very complex, a very convoluted program. We apologize for it, but these are the rules in place.
Chad, I'm gonna come back to you. Then it sounds to me if we just do this thing for this Friday, then that keeps us in running. Is that the way I understand to keep it going, and whether or not we can help?
Correct.
Big cost.
yes.
So I guess for you to have something by Friday, we're not talking, when I hear what he's saying, it's not that. I've read a lot of your reports over the years about that, so I'm sitting there thinking all those little line items that we normally do on a project aren't that. You can get those numbers, what it costs to get the gravel in. And
Yeah, I mean, I think what the last meeting that we had with FEMA, I think the best way to do that is to take a contractor out on site and have them look at it and have them give me some better numbers from their perspectives. If you want to proceed with that, I was just concerned that I was spending an inordinate amount of time and effort to do this, and I wanted to make sure you guys understood that.
you were talking about a large price tag to fix it, correct?
Yeah, it was like 170,000 was my estimate to fix it correctly, yes. So 180, 170, and 180,000.
And if that's your estimate and it goes out to bid and it comes back at 250,000 and that's the lowest bid, FEMA will consider 75% of that price. And you can apply to the governor's contingency fund for the balance, the other 25%, either all, some, or none of it.
I say roll the dice. for
That's
now,
what I do.
and at least get through this first round and take a look at it.
Go ahead and call.
Okay,
Yeah, maybe we can.
we'll go ahead and vote on Patsy's motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
No. Okay. Who wants to make the,
I make a motion that Laura get with Thrasher and whatever we need to do to get that first step with FEMA started. We'll take it one step at a time.
Yeah, I mean, one caveat, I don't know that I could have it done by
that's
this
just what I was
Friday.
gonna ask.
I
So
got
we're-
faith in you.
We're probably gonna need a little bit of an extension there, so.
Can we get an extension?
Can we get an extension?
My recommendation would be to send me an email saying we're working on putting it together and we'll have it to you in a week or whatever time, as long as it's reasonable, FEMA considers it. Like I said, right now, there hasn't been an official request for information that's been submitted. It's been informal, but FEMA's tapping their feet because they have other disasters to move along. The president just signed 6 new federal disaster declarations into law this morning. This staff has to be transitioned to others. So the clock is ticking. As fast as you can provide the accurate information, we'd appreciate it. But if you need more time, just send me a 1-sentence email that says we're working on it. We'll have something to you by this date and time.
No vacations, Chad.
It's just like working at the airport.
It's like working at the airport. Yep. That's my motion then that,
Take the
Laura.
next step.
take the
Between-
next step and
The motion is that Laura work with Chad to take the next step with those from FEMA. Correct?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, none, motion carried. Thank you for your time, both of you, Chad and,
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate your all's time. Thank you.
okay, number 13, review, discuss, consider awarding bids for update to Harrison County Comprehensive Plan.
Madam President, it's time for us to be working on our comprehensive plan, which I believe we've talked about, trying, that we've already started our process of gathering the information, our comprehensive plan. With that, West Virginia Law has done our plan in the past. We did put it out to bid this year. We only received one bid and it was from the West Virginia Law Clinic. I would recommend awarding the bid to the West Virginia Law Clinic in the amount of $65,000. That would be to take care of our comprehensive plan, reach out to our partners and municipalities to have them have a voice in it so we can move forward with that.
Have we received any information? Didn't you send a letter out for information for this?
We did, we've received some back. Actually, Thrasher, one of the representatives from Thrasher sent us some, but we're still waiting from mainly we were trying to gather information from
That's what I
PSEs.
thought.
Yes, and I believe we have a time limit on it, so I believe they might have another week or two to send that information, so we have it ready for our comprehensive plan to update.
What's the pleasure on 13?
Motion to approve agreement between WVU Law and Land Use for comprehensive plan
For 65,000.
for 65,000.
Motion to approve awarding the bid on the comprehensive plan to WVU for $65,000. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 14, review, discuss, consider agreement between Orange Theory and the Harrison County Commission.
Madam President, Orange Theory has requested that they become part of our wellness program, just like the other fitness facilities that we have and utilize in the county.
That's the one in Bridgeport.
It is in Bridgeport. So Mr. Higgins was unable to attend today, but we've talked to him several times. And so what he's going to do is the agreement that we're going to make with him is the employee is going to pay upfront. He's going to give the printouts to the employees. The employees will turn them in for reimbursement, sort of like we do with Planet Fitness. But he is willing to sign our agreement so he can join our wellness program here at the county.
Motion to approve Orange Theory and include it in our fitness program.
Motion to approve Orange Theory and enter them into our fitness program. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 15, review, discuss, consider inline license agreement for use of the Meadowbrook Mall as a satellite early voting location for 2024 general election.
Motion to approve early voting at the location of 2024 for early voting.
And to fix appropriate signature.
Signature. Thank you.
Motion to approve the in-license agreement with Meadowbrook Mall for the satellite voting and affix the appropriate signature. Is there any discussion?
Whereabouts in the mall are you gonna be, John?
Old Garfield Fresh.
Oh, that's-
Wanted it for a long time because we like that location.
Oh, that's,
Right front, yeah, it's great.
I like that. You gonna supply people with breakfast and lunch?
Fish.
Not this year. That's a great spot. That's all
Is
I
it
have.
cleaned out?
Sure. Hope for the best. Whatever.
Okay, maybe sitting in booths or
Might have some bits that we're-
bellying up to the bar or what?
Maybe some silverware that we can figure out.
Okay, any, all in favor signify by saying aye.
I
Aye, any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 16, review, discuss, consider a resolution authorizing the filing of the application to the Department of Homeland Security for the 2024 Homeland Security Grant Supplemental Solicitation, A, countywide SIRN, B, emergency backup and climate control for SIRN, tower sites, C, digital radio frequency tuner for countywide CIRN or SIRN, D, aerial surveillance and public event security, E, ATV for rail trail, F, deputy sheriff's reserves, project lifesaver equipment, and G, law enforcement communication, SIRN radios.
Okay, so all of these are under the Homeland Security Grant. And I have a couple more that will be next week. I just couldn't get them done in time for this week. So A, the countywide state interoperable radio network, that would be for, there's 150 radios that was counted that we needed. And it would be to distribute out to the volunteer fire departments in the county, mainly in the rural areas. And it will replace a lot of obsolete and non-repairable radios that they've had out there for 20 years or better. So that's what that first grant is for, and it's in the amount of $1,015,794 for 150 SIRN radios.
Jeannie, you just want to roll through them all so I can motion to approve all through A through G.
Sure, I can do that. B, emergency backup and climate control for the Siren Tower sites. That's all of the emergency 911 tower sites that we have in the county. A lot of the generators and the emergency or the air conditioning climate control are all obsolete, outdated, going down. So this is to replace all of them. And there will be 6 total, I believe, 6 generators. One of them is a portable. So that way, if one of the new generators would go down, we'd still have a portable that we could take to the location and keep it running in the event of any disasters. There will be 6 air conditioning units, 4 at PK because it's a bigger building, and 1 at each of the other sites. And that amount is $631,677 that I'm applying for. And C is the digital radio frequency tuner, which is going to be used countywide, mainly for the fire departments to keep their radios in the frequency that they need to be in. Fire departments have their own, police departments and so on. Aerial surveillance and public event security, that's for the sheriff's department to have to access and assess and evaluate disaster areas that they cannot reach by regular vehicle. So for any occasion that might come up, and also for crowd control, security reasons, it would be for that. The ATV is for the sheriff's department. It will come fully equipped with the all emergency equipment on it, that they can patrol the rail trail. And they wanted, this is to get one for that. It's let's see, which one this one is. Yeah, this one is in the amount of $53,913. The last one is well, not the last one, Deputy Reserve. It's Project Lifesaver equipment. It's for the DRS or DSR for the sheriff's department, and it's a program that they use. They put bracelets on elderly people, Alzheimer's people, autistic children. And this is a way to track them if, in the event that they would get out from where their home or they're supposed to be. It's a way of being able to find them. G is more radios, and this would be for the law enforcement. Same deal as the fire department.
Motion to approve A through G, Madam President.
Motion to,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
motion to approve 16A through G and affix the proper signature, please. Is there any discussion or any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Thank you very much, Gina.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Gina.
Number 17,
I don't have anything this week, Madam President.
Commissioner Henkel.
I guess I'm, the only thing that I would like to say is this rail trail seems to be a continuing issue. And I saw where we just applied to get some kind of sophisticated four-wheeler for $45,000. We can go up to Lowe's right now for $8,000 and get a side-by-side, stick a light on it and send somebody down the rail trail once in a while. I don't understand why we're not doing that and why we can't get some help from the officer that for a litter that we hired. That I guess, I don't know if we're getting any dumping along the rail trails, but everywhere I see along the rail trails, it's filthy. And I just don't understand why we just can't go get a $8,000 cheap side by side and turn them loose
I believe we already have something.
side by
Maybe a
side.
couple of them. Something that could be used, but
We do.
I'm not opposed to trying to get one through a grant either.
Well, no, but I'm just saying for right now, I mean, this grant
Well, they,
be next year. So I mean,
I understand.
for $8,000, we can stick somebody now on a side by
They're
side and
Supposed to
patrol
be
it.
going down through there in a cruiser. Is my understanding.
I bet if he goes down a camouflaged side by side and doesn't get dressed up, he'll find a whole lot more people. But he can write a whole lot more tickets.
I just want them going. I don't care what they go in. I just want them to go.
So that's just my thoughts. That's all I have to say. It's just that
Sorry, I
We
didn't
can-
mean to.
we can just get somebody out on the trail a lot quicker, if that's the issue. So-
Mr. Trico.
I agree with both of you 100%. And Mr. Goff, let's go ahead and let you get a meeting with Laura. And we'll go ahead and make an agenda item next week to allocate you to have the authority to spend up to $12,000 on a side by side and get a light on it. And dear God, work with somebody to get somebody on the trail. Please.
I mean, I just. No, I'm not gonna say it.
No, I agree with both of you. And go ahead and get the $45,000. The big county.
They do.
What do you say?
Yeah, but I'm saying just get it. It's there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Put some of them on there.
I don't care if you send our security guys down,
Yeah, fine.
but
I don't care if Laura's on it.
I don't want to give them an excuse.
I'll go.
Yeah, let's put Susan on it. Give her a taser and go.
And Patsy, Laura. We just might talk to some of the local suppliers and see if they would just like the ability to sponsor,
Put a sign on it.
put a sign on it and
All I care about, Peter, is buy that sucker and have something. Please,
That's the whole point.
please.
oh, there's lots of places.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Well, you think
All in favor?
No,
No,
I'm
I
sorry.
already said it. No, I said it, but that's
Okay.
all right.
it's adjourned.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.